So guys, we made it actually to the museum. It was actually in a different building from the one we visited before, but thanks to amazing Kateryna once again and Jaroslaw, which is is acting like my cameraman right behind me right now. They are gonna tell us something very, very cool, some stuff about this museum. So Kateryna, please go ahead.
Okay, so before the full-scale war, we used to have tourist information centers inside of the exclusion zone. It's a logical story how we actually ended up having those, because tourists who entered the exclusion zone, they needed some help with the taxi service, with getting the information, with having the Geiger counters or maps, or some drinks and snacks. And of course, when you visit some significant place, you really want to have something for your memories, right? But according to the law, it is completely prohibited to take any objects out of the exclusion zone. That's actually a criminal case. Still, some people were trying to steal something, like some small memorable items, like a metal bolt from the ground or a piece of the old Soviet newspaper and so on. So we decided to help them, and we created some souvenirs that they could carry home and tell the stories about their visit to their friends and families and people who they know. So we had those tourist information centers inside of the exclusion zone. And then, when in 2022, Russians invaded the exclusion zone, they destroyed all these tourist information centers. So we relocated our team with the local employees who lived around the exclusion zone to Kyiv, to the National Museum Chernobyl in Kyiv. And we have completely different types of the souvenirs and artifacts that we have today. It can be something fun, it can be something very educational, or it can be really part of the volunteer activity. So let me show you. For example, over here we have the stand with the artifacts of the war, which happens nowadays, but this is the charity shop. For example, we have glassware from the Chernobyl nuclear power plant canteen. If you take a closer look at the red signs, which looks like a croissant, this is actually the silhouette of the new safe confinement above the exploded unit number 4. That's the symbol of Chernobyl nuclear power plant, and the letters say CNPP, Chernobyl nuclear power plant, just in Cyrillic letters. So these plates used to be located inside of the exclusion zone at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant at the canteen. When in 2000, the last reactor of Chernobyl nuclear power plant was stopped, less and less people had to work at the power plant. They still do work there, but less. So some of the canteens were actually closed, and the glassware, like glasses, plates and so on, even vases for the flowers, were mainly destroyed inside of the exclusion zone, but some of them got to the private collections of the employees from Chernobyl nuclear power plant. When the full-scale war began, these people, like everywhere in Ukraine, started to raise money for the soldiers who went to defend Ukraine from their hometown, which is called Slavutich. That's the town which was built instead of Pripyat after the accident of 1986. So they found different objects that can be sold. They raise money for their soldiers. So that's part of what they do. So you can buy real artifacts, for example, from the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, and therefore support Ukrainian army, because this is kind of like a direct donation for them. Then, of course, we have different...
This is my favorite part always, yeah.
Yeah, of course, we have t-shirts and hoodies, but we also have vyshivankas. Vyshivanka is the traditional Ukrainian embroidered shirt, and according to the Ukrainian tradition, the ornaments actually picture the history of the land. Different symbols symbolize different things. But it turned out that none of the Ukrainian ornaments included the accident of Chernobyl, which was one of the main reasons why the Soviet Union collapsed and Ukraine actually became independent. So we had to create those. So we created Chernobyl Vyshivanka. It has traditional Ukrainian ornaments, traditional Ukrainian colors, but it also includes signs of radiation, signs of atoms, some signs of that symbolize nature of Polisa district, for example, and so on. So we have the collection of different, like ordeers, for example, over here. So we have the fullest version of the Ukrainian history, which includes what happened in 1986. Other than that, we have a lot of the books by liquidators, like their memories. For example, that's the book of Sergei Mirny, who is the co-founder of our company. We have books about radiation accidents, about the invasion of the exclusion zone. We have the first ever fairy tale
Oh wow.
about Chernobyl. It's written by Antin Mukharsky. So on one hand, this is the story for the kids with the bright pictures, the story about the adventures of the boy who is looking for his father.
Oh.
On the other hand, for the adults, they can also read the story of the war starting from 2014, kind of like between the lines. It's like the second meaning that the kids do not see, but the adults do.
Like a reference, let's say, like a hidden reference or small writing, we would say, yeah.
Exactly. So it's like a story inside of the story. So we have things like that. We have maps, of course, of the exclusion zone from the real military maps,
Wow.
which were made out of the Soviet military maps. And this is the biggest and most complete map of the exclusion zone, which nowadays is being used by the army, by the firefighters, by the customs services, and so on.
Well, I have a friend that would be like in love with one of those ones because
There's
he's
the full map on the side,
Yeah.
so you can see how it looks like. Another important part about this map is that this is the only map that exists which pictures exclusion zone and places. All right, so we also have historical souvenirs, which are different types of the gas masks, including the gas masks for the small kids, because Soviet Union really got ready for the nuclear war with the United States at the times of the Cold War. We have all kinds of different patches about Chernobyl, about radiation, about the revival of the exclusion zone. We have different objects which are the Soviet Geiger counters for the liquidators.
those were like the first ones, I guess, because the
Yeah,
ones we use nowadays are super small, of course.
These ones actually do not show you the actual current level of radiation, but they show you the calculated amount of radiation that the person receives.
So basically when it starts ringing is because you should like abandon the area.
The ringing is for this type of the Geiger counters.
Yeah, the Geiger,
which show
like the
you
modern
current
one.
level of radiation, and when you reach some high level, it starts to beep.
Yeah.
The Soviet ones, original ones, these were just carried in the pocket, and they would show you how much radiation did they employ of the power plant or the liquidator actually received. Also, we have the AZ5 button, which we're going to get closer to a little bit later. We have coins dedicated to the revival of the exclusion zone, because everyone knows that this is the exclusion zone. We started the process of renaming it to the revival zone, which was actually supported by the President Zelensky before the full-scale war. So it's about the revival of the zone. The first coin was about the revival of nature. This one we'll see a little bit later. We'll have a closer look. We have different souvenirs connected both to the Stalker game, for example.
Oh, I love that. I love that game, actually.
The first aid kits, or the bolts that you throw at the anomaly.
Yeah, I remember that from the video game, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a great fan of that video game. Yeah.
We have real artifacts of the exclusion zone, which are samples of the barbed wire from the outer perimeter and from the radar station Duga 1.
Wow.
We have the uranium glass, which is the uranium core. It's made out of the uranium glass, which emits radiation, so you can check, but it's safe for your health. So, for example, you can check your Geiger counter to see whether it's working.
Yeah.
Or surprise your friends because it also glows in the darkness.
Oh, wow.
We have glass from the exclusion zone, which was mixed with lead. After the accident, there was a need to protect people from gamma rays. So what they did, they were mixing glass with lead, and because it's very thick, it could stop a lot of major part of the gamma rays. So it was placed in the checkpoints, at the reconnaissance vehicles, and so on. Also, we get back to the Stalker video game, like dioramas made about it.
Yeah. Oh.
Hold on.
Just like we have some technical issue. No, but it's okay. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so also pins, mugs, metal plates, keychains, stickers, and so on, like magnets. But the interesting thing, that red button.
Yeah.
So here it is. It is the AZ5 button, which is the automatical protection button. This is the exact type of the Soviet button which was pressed at the night of the accident, and after pressing of which the accident actually happened. It is made in the exact industrial style and design of the nuclear power plant from that time, in the same colors, and try to press it.
Okay. Let's see. We are not gonna repeat the situation, I guess,
No.
or.
So this is the sound of the original phone calls from the after the accident to the neighboring firefighter departments.
Jesus.
Each button actually has the passport with a number.
Oh wow.
Here's the translation of what they say. What is interesting is that they do not mention the explosion, they mention just the fire, which means that all the firefighters who arrived to the mitigation process had just the regular protective clothes, not from the radiation.
Basically, because they were ready to suffocate a normal fire. They were not thinking it could be actually due to the explosion. Yeah.
Then after that, there's going to be the sound of the historical record of the evacuation of Pripyat town, which was read by our friend Nina Melnik, who was the editor at the radio of Pripyat town.
Wow.
And what is also interesting that in the whole text of the evacuation note, they do not say that this is forever. They say that here it is. So they say that because of the small accident at the power plant, they recommend people to get evacuated for a few days. Although these people did not get a chance to get back to their homes. I'm gonna stop it because otherwise I'm gonna have to scream.
Yeah.
So I was telling you before that we created this button as the historical artifact together with Alexei Brios, who was the operator of unit number 4, who arrived at the power plant at 7 a.m. at the day of the accident, spent there 3 more days. He's still alive. He also wanted to explain the whole world that although the Soviet government actually blamed the operators of the power plant to be guilty in pressing this button, which they had to press, because according to all of the safety protocols, in case if anything goes wrong at the power plant, you press the scram button and then you figure out what happened. The operators were not informed about the possible side effects, although the authorities knew about that. So Alexei Brios actually tried to spread the information about the true reasons of the accident, which are also being mentioned in the passport over here.
Nice.
So that's the. So we also have the snow globe, which is the way to catch the attention of the people who make collections of snowballs and also of the kids to the accident of Chernobyl. It's like a regular snowball, but instead of the snow we have pieces of graphite.
Yeah.
And it also glows in the darkness.
Oh.
It has all the details of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, the exploded unit.
So this is actually the area in.
This is reactor number 4.
So this is what actually exploded. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it looked after the accident, at the first hours and first days. So you can imagine how huge that was and what actually the liquidators had to deal with, and basically it's also a sign of their heroic actions, how they really faced the invisible enemy and survived and actually won. The uranium glass I was telling you about, that's uranium ore, which...
So I'm not gonna wake up tomorrow with tentacles or anything like that. Yeah, hopefully not.
It glows.
Oh,
It can glow in the sunlight or any type of light or UF light, which is faster. And let me prove you that actually this is the uranium glass, right? For that, we need to take the Geiger counter, open the cover behind, because if you measure gamma rays, it's so insignificant that the Geiger counter is not even going to see it.
Because of the plastic cover, basically.
Yes. Opening this cover, we allow also beta particles to bomb the tube inside, and we can see what happens. The normal standard level of radiation in Ukraine is up to 0.30 microsieverts per hour. It's like the standard level for everyday life. For example, if you take a Geiger counter on the board of the airplane, that would be somewhere between 2.5 and up to 7 or something like that. So, here's our uranium core, here's our Geiger counter.
Starting to rise, yeah.
Yeah, we need to give it a moment to recalibrate, to remeasure. You can see that it goes higher.
Yeah. It goes up. I mean, it's taking time, but you can see clearly. Ah, there you go.
Hold on.
Ooh.
And here we go.
1.08, that's actually 135 is actually showing like a very high amount, let's say.
Not really high. I mean, it's less than on the board of the airplane.
Yeah.
But it's the increase.
Well, also because this uranium nucleus is actually very small, so I guess...
And if we remove the core and put it back, and then give the Geiger counter some time to readjust, we can see that the level of radiation goes down, and then...
disappears.
In a few moments, it's going to go down.
Yeah, it's actually going. It's like now it says 67, 54, 45 now. Yeah, it's actually quite quickly. Yeah.
Exactly. Although here's the uranium core, here's the Geiger counter. So only small distance allows us to measure the levels of radiation. That's why actually the type of the glass mixed with uranium was used for centuries as the glassware in the aristocratic families. There were jewelry made out of it, glasses, plates, and so on.
Because it naturally kind of protects you, let's say, from radiation.
Some specialists say small levels of radiation are actually even good for your health, because it stimulates just the matter of the amount and of time that you are exposed to that. So that's how it goes.